Welcome back to Camp Cooking with Bianca. This week we are making French toast. French toast is one of my favorite breakfasts to eat, especially on a Saturday morning, and it's surprisingly easy to make. It seems so fancy and it seems complicated, like it would be hard to make, but it's really easy. It's actually only 4 ingredients, and I'm going to go through those with you now. To make French toast, you will need 2 eggs, a half a cup of milk, 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 6 slices of bread. This makes 3 servings of French toast with 2 slices for each person. But if you want to make more or less, you can adjust the recipe accordingly. You may also need some cooking spray whenever we start to actually cook the French toast, but I'll get to that in a minute. Alright, let's get started. We have to start by making the egg wash that we're going to end up dipping the bread into. Dipping the bread in eggs is how French toast gets that nice golden color and that crispy texture. So let's get started with that. I'm going to use a pie plate to make my mixture just because it'll be easier for me to dip the bread that way. And I'm going to start up with a fork. So I don't need the bread yet, so I'm going to move that to the side. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack 2 eggs into this pie plate. Very nice. Be sure to watch for shells. You don't want to get shells into your solution here. Oop. And there's the other one. Perfect. So there's no shells, just 2 eggs right here. And so right now it's not really a mixture because the yolk is still there, but I'm going to go ahead and scramble it, mix them up real good. So I'm going to break the yolks and just mix it up. I'm using a really shallow plate here because I know it'll be easier to dip the bread into it. You're welcome to use a bowl if you want. Just make sure that when you're mixing it, you don't spill and go over the edge because I'll make a mess. So I just want to mix it until all of my yolk, which is the yellow part, and the whites, which is the clear part, are mixed up, and it's hard to tell the difference between them. And I tend to whip my eggs just in this little circular motion with my fork. I think that's one of the easiest ways to do it. Alright, I think that looks good enough. Now I'm just going to add my half a cup of milk to this. I already measured it out. This is half a cup right there. So I'll pour that in. Great. Mix that up. And again, as I get more liquid, it'll be easier to spill, so I gotta be careful. Just mix that up till you can't tell the difference between them anymore. So it's this nice pale yellow color. And then, this isn't actually required, but I think cinnamon is a nice flavor to add to French toast, so I'm going to throw this in as well. This is 1/8 tablespoon of cinnamon. I'm just going to dump that in there, and I'm going to mix that up too until the cinnamon is mixed up. And so I can even see the little brown specks of cinnamon. I know that's going to give it a lot of good flavor. So mix that up real good. Alright, awesome. So that was the first part of our recipe, and now on to step 2, which is dipping and cooking the bread. Alright, so now it's time to get ready to cook our French toast. You'll see I have a new setup here. This is my griddle that I'm going to be using to cook my French toast. If you don't have one of these, that's totally fine. You can definitely just use a frying pan and do it on your range. But I thought this would be easier to show you if I did it right here on the griddle. So I'm going to use the griddle. Now again, remember, when we're dealing with things that are hot, we need to make sure we have adults helping us or adults doing it themselves. Depending on how old you are, the adult can decide how much they want you to help or not. But we need to be really careful with hot things. I already have this plugged in and I can already feel that it's hot, so I'm going to make sure I don't touch it while I'm cooking. So again, always be safe with hot surfaces. Whether you're using a griddle or you're doing a frying pan, we need to be hot to cook, so make sure you have an adult helping you out. Alright, so we're about to start cooking, but first I want to make sure to spray my pan because otherwise my bread will get stuck to the pan. So I'm just going to use some cooking spray and spray down my griddle. You could probably also use butter if you wanted to, but I think this is easier, so I'm just going to use this. So I'm going to shake it up and spray my griddle real good. You don't want to overdo it, just enough so that the whole thing is covered. Perfect. Alright, so now I'm going to get cooking. So I know this is hot, so I'm ready to go. If yours isn't hot yet, make sure you heat it up first. And then, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one slice of bread at a time. I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it into the solution. It might get a little bit messy, but that's okay. And then I'm going to put it on the griddle. And so the reason that I'm dipping it and cooking it right away is that if I were to dip all of them and then let them sit out for a while, the bread would get soggy and it would start to fall apart. And I don't want that. I want my French toast to be nice and crispy. So I'm going to dip them and then cook them. I'll put as many as I can fit on the griddle and then we'll wait for those to finish and then I'll cook the rest. All right, so let's do our first piece. So I'm just gonna dip it in there really good. I'm gonna flip it over. You wanna make sure to always do both sides. And I'm just gonna pull it out and I'm gonna carefully place it on the griddle. Just like that. And you can already hear it sizzle, which is awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. For some more. This piece is soaked. Oh yeah, listen to that sizzle. And then I'll probably only be able to fit 3 on here, which is okay. And then my third one, perfect. All right, so they're sitting here cooking. Basically, what you want to do is cook them for about 1.5 to 2 minutes on each side, or until you can tell it has a light brown color. So the way you can check that is safely use a spatula, and if you want to just kind of peek under and see if it's done yet, you can check. That one wasn't done, so I'm gonna wait a little longer, but that's basically what we're gonna do. We're just gonna wait until they're brown on one side, and then I'm gonna flip them over.
A few minutes later.
All right, so it's been a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and check them and see if they're ready to flip. I'm gonna very carefully look. Ooh, that one's nice and brown. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip it. Again, be careful when you do this. Have an adult help you. Make sure you get it all the way under there, and boom, flip. Oh, look at that nice golden brown color. That's what we want. So let me check this one. Yeah, that one looks good. Gonna flip it carefully. Awesome, these look great. I'm so excited. All right, so now that these are flipped, we're gonna let them cook a little longer on that side, and then we'll take these off, we'll do the last ones, and then we'll be done.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, so this side has been cooking for a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and check and see if they look done. Let's see. Ooh, that looks nice and brown. I'm gonna go ahead and take these 3 off, because I believe they look done. I'll even flip it to show you that side. Ooh, look at that. And I can even smell the cinnamon. It smells really good. Take a look. Yeah, that one's good. This one is good too. Again, be careful when you're taking these off the griddle. And then we have 3 done. Awesome. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cook the other 3 and then we'll get to taste it. All right, here we go. All right, and here we have it, our 6 pieces of French toast. Now I'm gonna go ahead and clean up a little bit and then we'll get to tasting this. This looks really good. So excited. All right, and here it is all ready to go. I went ahead and put a little bit of maple syrup and powdered sugar on it just because that's what I like to eat on my French toast. Some people like other things. They just like just sugar, just syrup, butter, whatever you want to put on there, that's fine. It's just how I like mine. And I'm gonna go ahead and taste it now. So I will cut off a little piece here. All right, here we go. Wow, that was so good and that was so easy to make. I can't believe how simple that was. Well, thank you all for coming again to Camp Cooking with Bianca. And I will see you next week to show you another awesome recipe. Bye! I don't want them to stick to my pan, so I'm going to use some, Again, be careful when you do this. Have an adult help you. Whoops. Ooh, that looks nice and brown. So I'm going to go ahead, whoops. Don't want to lose your French toast there. Alright, so I'm ready to cook my last 3 pieces of Alright, so I'm ready to cook my last 3 pieces. Oh my gosh.